The Jrue Holiday asking price has been revealed. Can the Celtics actually get it? And my plan for Kristaps Porzingis is already seemingly part of what the Celtics are planning. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. Your team's the Celtics, and I'm covering them Monday through Friday with a free podcast. Drops directly to your device. You can watch a show on YouTube. Get into the comment section, share your thoughts there. Let me know what you're thinking about the Celtics. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing some version of this job for about 20 years now, and very happy to be talking about the Celtics with you. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase of tickets to just about anything. Later on, I did yesterday's podcast all on Kristaps Porzingis, and then you hear that the Celtics, what they want to do is kind of what I said I wanted to do. So, hey, that's cool. We'll talk about that. But first, the asking price for Jrue Holiday has been kind of revealed, and we'll talk about that with our good friend Tom Westerholm. Tom, how you doing, buddy?
Listen, I think I'm worth at least one first round pick. My presence on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First round of what?
I don't know. You kicked it to me and I had nothing. So
yeah, that's right. This is, listen, man, it's tough sledding with these podcasts nowadays. We're in a weird, it's funny. I was talking about my wife. She's like, because I was like, I just don't know. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I have to do 5 days a week. We're here 5 days a week. And this is just a horrible way to start a show, being like, I don't know. So, but, you know, we were talking about, like, you would have just been getting home from OKC right now if things had gone the way you thought, you moron. So, I was not planning on doing podcasts now, but the discussion of what the Celtics are going to get for Jrue Holiday was not really supposed to happen for another 3 weeks, maybe longer into July, because they should still be playing.
Yeah.
But here we are, and our good friend Matt Moore, Hardwood Paroxysm, he covers the Denver Nuggets. He covers the league, but he does the Locked On Nuggets show, and just talked to a few people, and it seems like the asking price for Jrue Holiday is a first round pick and a reduction in salary. So the Celtics have made it clear, we want a first round pick for Jrue, and that's going to be the price you pay, because really we're trying to take back less salary, which everybody knows. And so the question is, I guess, how firmly are they going to hold to that first round pick? Like, anybody can walk in and start negotiations and be like, okay, we got Jrue Holiday. First round picks got to happen. We got to have it, guys. Just can't be done without it. But when they come back and be like, well, about that first round pick, and Brad be like, all right, well, what do you, just for the sake of conversation, what else would you be offering? I feel like that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think when the first round pick is the thing that you're asking for, one thing that you're making it abundantly clear is, like, it does, like, the reduction in salary is the thing that matters here. Like, it's like when you say first round pick and you're not saying, like, oh, we need, like, a young prospect or something. Like, there's no players involved in this. And like, even the first round pick and a reduction in salary, that reduction in salary is it's going to be a person, it's going to be a basketball player even, but like, it's not, it's probably not going to be, it's not going to be a Jrue Holiday. Like, I think that's one thing we know for sure is that you're not getting Jrue Holiday value back for Jrue Holiday, which is unfortunate. And we've already done our shout out to Adam Silver on that subject, but I think that one thing that is again kind of abundantly clear here is like if the Celtics somehow build up a bidding war where they end up with a first round pick, I mean, all credit to Brad. That would be kind of amazing.
Throw Brad a parade.
I mean, seriously, but don't probably expect that if you're a Celtics fan. I think a good solid reduction in salary, and then whatever second round pick or couple seconds they come up with would be a really nice victory, even in this scenario. I think
I can see maybe depending on the team, lottery protected first rounder or top 20 protected or some heavily protected first rounder.
Sure,
like one of those that it's hey, wow, the Celtics get a first rounder, and it's really going to convert to 2 next year.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of like being able to say. I just don't think Brad cares about being able to say what he's gonna. All he cares about is getting the job done.
Right. It's not like his job's in danger. Like
right. So I don't think he needs to go out and put out a press release and be like, "Look at this, we got a first rounder for him."
Yeah.
But if you can, then you can, and I'd rather them say heavily protected first rounder that's probably going to not convey because you never know.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so even if there's a .something% chance, or if like a 2% chance, like the Dallas Mavericks winning the draft lottery, there's a 2%. Hey, if there's a 2% chance that something could happen, but maybe you traded for, let's just go back in time and pretend you traded for the Philadelphia top 20 protected, first round pick or whatever. Like I'm going down the wrong road with this, but what I'm saying is like you don't expect certain things to happen.
Yeah.
And so if you get a top 20 protected pick and then somebody just is better than you think and they fall into the 20s, then great. If they are worse than you think, then whatever. It doesn't convey. At least the chance of it happening is worth the shit. It's like a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to win, but you could. And even if you win $50, that's better than nothing. So it's obviously
it is kind of depressing though to see like Jrue Holiday going out the door for what amounts to like the draft collateral version of like a gas station scratcher, and you're just like, man, that's rough.
It is rough. But again, this is what the league wanted.
Yeah.
This is not, and it's without. Okay, let me pose this question to you. In fact, let's take a break. I'll pose this question to you. We'll take a break, just so we can kind of see how far the Celtics are off value wise. Pretend there's no second apron. Pretend that this was just. Let's pretend it's a Jrue Holiday trade request, which it's not. But let's just say, hey, the Celtics are saying we have to trade Jrue Holiday. We don't want to. There's none of these restrictions. In an alternate universe, what would his value be? Could the Celtics get a first round pick for him? I'll get your take on that, and then we'll move on when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Wayfair. I know that I am going to be shopping Wayfair. My wife's probably already on Wayfair because we're redoing the outdoor space. We get graduation party coming up in a few weeks, and we want to make it look good. We need some new outdoor stuff, and Wayfair has everything, just basically everything you need to level up your outdoor space. You got conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, even the perfect string lights to set the vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. And trust me, I cannot afford the resort price tag, but I still want to make it look nice. So we're looking for just patio stuff, nice, clean. And I know there's a ton of options on Wayfair because we've shopped at Wayfair before and we've gone through all of their options, a bunch of different styles, a bunch of different price points. So whatever you're looking for, it's there. And the delivery free, fast, hassle-free, even with the big items. So whether you're hosting with friends or unwinding with a book, it generally feels like you're in your own private retreat. Don't wait, make your outdoor space dreams come true with Wayfair today. Do it today and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now. Shop a huge outdoor selection. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out the Locked On NBA feed because there's 2 podcasts there. Game Night's got the finals covered, breaking down each game as it happens, plus previews. The guys have big stories from the finals and around the NBA on Locked On NBA. Matt Moore, who broke this story, this holiday price tag, is one of the hosts of Locked On NBA. So go check it out there. All right, Tom, I've given you a minute, 2 minutes to chew on this thing. In a real world, in the non crazy, stupid aprons. We're so sick of talking about aprons.
Well, listen, in a fake world, because the real world unfortunately includes aprons, but yes.
That's right. In the fake world, what could you think at this point in Jrue Holiday's career, the Celtics could get a first round pick for him?
Yeah, I do. I think I definitely do. I think that like he's proven over the course of the last few years that not only, I mean, okay, to be clear, to back up slightly, I don't think they're getting a first, they're not getting into the lottery or anything like that.
No.
But getting a first for him, certainly. Think about the way that the Celtics have used their draft picks over the last few years to just be like, hey, here's a first round pick. Will you give us a good player? And like teams are like, yeah, sure. Like that sounds great. Like we're not using them. Like we'll take a first round pick. Sounds good. Like I think the Celtics could for sure get one of those picks. Maybe like a 21. Like you can get a pretty solid player at 21 for sure. Jrue Holiday. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've seen the versatility of Jrue Holiday in his various roles, right? We've seen we've talked about this before, but he is not far removed from being a third star on a championship contending team.
Yeah,
and he's like currently in his current form, he's a really, really overqualified 5th best player. So worst case scenario, you're getting a really overqualified 5th best player. That means you're getting a good player. I think that player is for sure worth a first round pick.
So if he's worth a first round pick, just in general, then if there is a bidding war, if the potential is there for a couple of teams, all you need is 2 teams. If the Celtics can find a couple of teams that think of him as a culture changer or a missing piece or whoever it is, I've talked about him going to Utah, which would be in a more mentor role, but why couldn't he go to, I don't know, I'm just throwing out Denver as a possibility, but like a team that's trying to contend. He absolutely could go to a team that's trying to contend. So I'm not going to rule out the possibility of a first round pick with protections. It might depend on what first round picks the team has, might have. Is it a team that has multiple teams first round picks? Maybe is it a team that has a good team's first round pick? Be like, well, this team is going to probably be picking in that, late first round. Okay, we'll give you this. We'll give you this team's pick for Holiday because we want him, and that guy doesn't make a difference for us. So I don't expect it to happen.
Yeah,
my expectation is it'll be if the Celtics get a pick, it'll be second rounders. Really, ultimately, though, my priority is that the Celtics do not have to give up a pick to get off of him. Because I was entering this in thinking you're going to probably have to use a first to get off of Holiday. If the Celtics can turn around and get draft assets for Holiday, I consider that a win. If they go out and get 2 seconds for Holiday and a reduction, $10 million reduction in their overall salary, get a player that might be useful, even if he's a seventh man or whatever, ninth man or whatever, I consider that under these circumstances a major win for Brad Stevens, because I really have just kind of worked under the assumption that the Celtics will have to give something up to get somebody to take him at that salary.
Yeah, I think that what it's, to me, my guess is that it's going to come down to a matter of balance, right? So it's like, okay, like if you, depends what your priority is, right? Like if you prioritize getting that first round pick, you might be able, you like you said, you might be able to do that if you aren't quite so focused on getting a bigger reduction in salary. You get a bigger reduction in salary, then you start looking at like, okay, we're probably getting, like a couple second round picks, whatever it might be. Maybe you're focused on the reduction in salary, but still getting somebody decent back, or somebody who can like actually help you back. If you can thread those two needles, at that point, 1 second round pick, whatever it is, like that's okay, because you've fulfilled other needs elsewhere. Maybe there's a good player out there who is cheap, who is a big reduction in salary. You can make something work, and then you have to attach draft assets to that, and it's still a win. I just think like there's going to be like little give, little take, little yin yang kind of thing going on here, where you can't, you're not going to find the perfect trade that gets you a protected first and a useful player and a big reduction in salary. So it's like, what is your priority? What is Brad's priority? My guess is probably the reduction in salary, to be honest. I think that's kind of got to be the big thing here. But hey, I mean, if you can thread another needle, I mean, thread it. That's great.
This really is going to be an incredible summer to test Brad's kind of negotiating abilities.
Yeah.
And what, his power of convincing the other team, like, what do you really want? Right. That's always when it's a negotiation and you're like, no, listen, you're getting this. You got to like convince the other team, like, what you're getting. Trust me. You think you're getting this. Let me tell you about Jrue Holiday. Let me tell you a story about Jrue. Like, he'll sit there and be like, okay, here's a story about Jrue that you're going to love. It's from him walking into the locker room and saying, blah, 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 blah. And this guy said this, and that's worth it to you. That's really worth it. You want to have like all right, give me a second to think about this, and have somebody in that other team's inner circle go, he kind of makes a good point.
Yeah.
So
well, and you know what I think works in his favor too is that he doesn't have to go into this summer necessarily trying to win every trade, because he's not going to. Everybody knows that. So it's not the Danny Ainge corollary, right? Where everybody's like, man, we can't trade with that guy because he's only gonna accept a trade if it's like super lopsided. It's like, no, like, listen, the Celtics, like the Celtics business is pretty out there on the table. So like, if you want Jrue Holiday, you just kind of got it. Like, the Celtics business, there's no ulterior motive here. You just know, like, okay, we got to like, I think that puts Brad in a decent place where it's like, listen, you know what it is. Like, I'm not going to like win this trade necessarily, but can you give me enough to make this worth my while? I almost feel like that's not the worst position to be in, given that in previous years, right? It's like, who wants to trade with the Celtics? The Celtics are contenders. Brad Stevens is a genius. I don't want to make any deals with that guy. Right now, it's just like, nah, I mean, I need the best deal for my team that I can find.
Hey, buddy, listen, I'm doing you a favor. I'm giving you Jrue Holiday, and I'm not taking back what I should be getting back.
Right. You're winning this trade.
You're winning. I'm walking in here telling you you're winning this trade. So send me back to my new owner. And like, you just play it up. You're like, this new owner, man, this guy's a piece of work. You got to just protect it however you want to protect it. But we're friends, right? We're going to do deals, right? You're my buddy, right?
Right, Austin? We're buddies, Austin.
Yeah, we're friends, right? We did this other deal. Remember that time when we had those laughs and we made that trade? Just top 20 protected. Just give me something I can go back to this guy and be like, I got you your first round pick. And then have the other guy go, all right, fine. So I don't know.
We'll see. I might be wrong about that one, but I do think that like you don't have to worry about the Danny Ainge thing anymore. Like that's not
No, it's true. That's 100% true.
Nobody thinks that Brad is going to win any of these deals. So like I don't
No.
know. Maybe that'll grease things a little bit.
But what the Celtics consider a win,
right?
And what other teams consider a win. Like Brad Stevens
That's
will win the deal.
Yes.
For Boston when he cuts $12 million in salary and gets a protected first round pick. If he can do that, then he's a huge winner in this deal.
That's
and the
exactly
other team
right.
goes back and is like, we got a Holiday for like nothing. Like, wow. It's like you're walking into an estate sale. You're like, yeah, we don't want to give this away for this, but just give me something where I don't look bad in front of my family.
That's it. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that this is a garage sale and you're just like,
yeah.
I mean, the good news is that I sold it for way less than it was worth, but at least it's not taking up my entire basement anymore. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody wins. Everybody's somewhat happy and you move on.
Yeah.
Yesterday's podcast, I talked about Kristaps Porzingis and trade him, keep him, and all of that. And where I landed is actually where it seems like the Celtics are landing. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like going to a playoff game, an NBA Finals game. If you're around, Game Time's got the tickets if you want to spend the money, but you don't have to spend the money on NBA Finals. I used Game Time actually during the playoffs because when I went to New York, there was a New York Liberty Connecticut Sun preseason game, and I just happened to be around the Barclays Center. I had a night off, and I was like, let me fire up Game Time. And boom, 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 2-3 clicks. I got a great seat at a great price. I got the seat view right in my app, and I went and I watched the basketball game, all thanks to Game Time. I knew I got a great price, and I knew that it was the best price in the game because if I were to shop around a little bit more and find something at a cheaper price, they would give me 110% of the difference. So I shopped with very confidence and clarity. They have zone deals. They're offering up to 60% off in some sections. I saw right away that my deal was a good deal. You can find seats on NFL games, great seats for as low as $100. They got the Game Time guarantee. Your tickets are 100% authentic. They arrive on time. You're always going to get that best price. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. It's very simple. If I can do it, you can do it. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, you can create the account and redeem the code LOCKDOWNNBA, LOCKED, on NBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You want to get caught up on the draft? Go listen to Locked On NBA Big Board with Rafael Barlow. Binge that show. Rafael Barlow is scouting everybody, international players. He's everywhere. He's incredible. If you want to get caught up on draft stuff, he's the guy you want to talk to. Locked On NBA Big Board, wherever you found this podcast. Tom, yesterday's podcast, which I know you already listened to, so I don't need to recap
twice.
I know you're an avid listener.
Yeah.
Pumping up my numbers by listening to it multiple times. But for people who weren't here yesterday, talked about should the Celtics keep Porzingis, trade Porzingis. Spoiler alert, I landed on 70-30, 60-40, keep Porzingis. And one of the rationales was you could either let him walk and $31 million, almost $31 million comes off the books. But is it books? It should be book, right? It's one book. There's not multiple books, you know? But another thing that I brought up, and I thought this would actually be very good for the Celtics, you can bring him back after next year. Just pay him appropriately, not $31 million. Get him for less. Now, I don't know what less is.
Yeah.
Is it 10 million? Is it 15 million? Is it 20 million? I don't know what the millions are, but it could be significantly less. If you can get him at the right price, bringing him back, all of a sudden the time that he misses is like, well, you know, it's tolerable because you're not paying him $30 million. And you've got money to, you know, theoretically put another, you know, other guys around and have guys that you like a platoon situation. Anyway, Chris Mannix on Kevin O'Connor's podcast said the Celtics may be looking to do that, exactly that. Keep him and extend him at a reduced rate. What do you think of that plan, Tom?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, you can see the rationale for it. Certainly, honestly, this is kind of a cop out answer, but this is one that I'm kind of like. I feel like the Celtics risk tolerance, like they know what they're doing here. You know what I mean? Like they know. I feel like the Celtics will have a very good sort of structure built around this, where it's like, okay, we know how sick Porzingis was. You know,
Mhm.
we know how rare or how not rare or how like we know how unlikely this was to happen again. Presumably, we know how rare that injury he had was. We also know how injured he often is and how this keeps cropping up. Like I think that I think to me there has to be a specific number that like is like, okay, this is the number that we are willing to spend on a part-time player, and we
Yeah.
will keep you on as a part-time player, but not above this. So it's like that works, but that whatever their number is, that's the number they have to adhere to. Like you can't
Yes.
go over that for a
Yes.
part-time guy. If you can get it, great. And hey, maybe you get lucky, right? Like maybe your part-time guy can play a few extra games, you know.
Yeah.
Fool me 6 times, you know, shame on me. But like maybe he could. Maybe he could. But I think it's a great plan as long as you don't go above that part-time number. Like there is a budget here.
That's that is true. And look, that's just going to be how it goes. It's funny. Austin Ainge said something super interesting about contracts in general, about these super max contracts and these max contracts. And when he was introduced with the Jazz, he said something to the effect of, I think these contracts are going to be negotiated uh, more heavily, which means I'm going to use Jaylen Brown as an example. Hey, Jaylen Brown's he qualified for the Supermax, so you got to give it to him. You know, like Kristaps Porzingis makes $30 million. He's going to ask for this. You kind of got to give it to him because who else are you going to get at this point? I think we're in a point where, as Tom, there you go. Your Wi-Fi just cut out a little bit there. But that's okay. We're at a point where Porzingis, I think the negotiation is going to be a lot tougher. I think you're on where you're landing here is exactly right. Whatever the number is, I'm going to say it's right around mid-level exception, because
Yeah.
mid-level is that line of, we know you can be good, but there's a thing that is holding you back. There's something there. There's an extenuating something for a mid-level guy that's like, okay, Porzingis, at your best, all-star level guy.
30
All-star
million,
level
no problem. 30
no
million,
problem.
you got it.
If Porzingis was a 70 game a year player
Ugh,
and you felt, oh my God, absolute 30 million would be a bargain.
that'd be a bargain. Yeah, absolutely.
But 30 million for playing what, 60% of the games, 55% of the playoff games, you can't give me 30 million. And that's too much. 20 million is too much.
Pushing it. Yeah,
Too much.
yeah.
2-year extension for 30 million. Okay, fine.
Sure. That's yep.
And one reason especially is $15 million is super tradable.
Yep.
And if you're under the second apron, you can aggregate salaries. And that $15 million is going to be really, really important, because you don't have that contract right now. And
That's true.
if for nothing else, just team building and future team building, keeping Porzingis around for $15 million, just so you can be like, oh yeah, here's this guy. Here's Peyton Pritchard at, what's he making? 7, 8, 9. And Porzingis for 15. And now you're getting close to, with the percentages, you can go get yourself a big number guy if you need to. You can maybe even take advantage of one of those second apron teams that are selling because you can be like, hey, you need to get rid of your version of Jrue Holiday. We've got Porzingis who makes 15 and he's only doing it for 2 years. And we've got these other guys, whoever is accumulated, or you add him to Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And now you're going to go after a big fish.
I was going to say, yeah, now you're deep sea fishing. Yeah.
Yeah. $15 million is more than just, hey, this is what we think you're earning. I think getting Porzingis for 2 years, $15 million has wider implications and gives the Celtics a flexibility to do something that they wouldn't be able to do. I think there's value to keeping him at that number, even if it's just to trade him.
Yeah, and I like the way you put that, because I think it's an interesting point that it's like, okay, so the Celtics got kind of screwed by this, right? But there is an interesting element of this. Chad Finn was posting about it. There's an interesting element of this where it's like, but also, like, if you're the first one who needs to do this, you're on the front end of this, right?
Yeah.
Like you're almost like getting ahead of it in a weird way, to where then, to your point, there's going to be other teams who need to sell down the road. Like like a lot of teams are going to need to sell parts at some point. And some of those parts are going to be really good parts. And if you're in a position, if you've been setting yourself up to be in that position, if you've already kind of torn some stuff down for parts, and then you're in a position to rebuild from there, interesting, right? Like that's an interesting place to be in.
I'm gonna pull up one quick thing here before we wrap it up, just to kind of, if you want to go long-term planning. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who I think are they are built for long-term, but also next season, the 25-26 season, the final seasons on the rookie contracts for Holmgren, for Jalen Williams, for both Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
Kaysen Wallace. There are names that are coming up for even OKC. Now they've got a ton of draft picks. I think they could. I'm so interested in their draft.
Yeah.
They could be drafting replacements for any of these guys coming up. There's a possibility that one of those key OKC guys is coming up, and OKC, smaller market, not the same TV money coming in, blah, 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 blah. They could be willing to sell pieces off. And, there's just throwing it out there. There are teams like that you're like, I didn't even expect this to be available. In 2 years, 3 years, when these teams get super expensive, they'll do like a year or two of these guys all making tons of money. But that second apron is going to creep up on them real fast, and they're going to have to make moves. So you can, to be in a position for Boston to maybe swoop in, like that. I think there's more long-term stuff here. When we're talking about re-signing a guy like Porzingis, it's more than just what does he do for the team. It's just what can he do in a deal. I think that's one of the more important things that hasn't really been discussed.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
So, all right. Well, we'll see how it goes. Well, Tom, we did it again. We talked for half an hour about the Boston Celtics. I thought it was a good half hour.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're pros. We're pros. Oh, geez, I hurt my shoulder patting myself on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I just tore my
rotator cuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I can't do that so hard. All right, Tom. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. We like to have fun here. But I do thank you for being here with me. You everydayers, I love you, sticking with this show Monday through Friday. I mean, I know it's tough because the Celtics aren't front of mind. You're probably watching the Red Sox. They just called up that big prospect. What's his name? Roman, something or other. He hit a 600-foot home run the other day. Patriots are doing OTAs or whatever. And Stanley Cup finals are going on. So there's a lot of other things that people are paying attention to. But if you're an everydayer, you're sticking with me through this kind of quiet portion of the Celtics year, that makes me really, really happy. So thank you so much. If you're subscribed, not a subscriber, you're still here. That means hopefully you've liked the show, or maybe you just hate listening, whatever. Subscribe either way. because you can hate my show for 5 days a week. That's fine too. But it's here for you Monday through Friday. All this month, all next month, August and September, we go down to 3 days, and then we're back to 5 days a week. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into the comment section, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.